Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
First and foremost, I rise, as I rise, La ilaha illallah. There is no person, deity, or thing worthy of worship save Allah. He is the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. All praise is due to Allah. The highest of honors to his prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green five-pointed star in the center, representing the 5 highest principles known to man, which are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Islam.
A flag that has flown on these shores for over 50,000 years.
Islam.
All right? I want to give honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, his teacher, Deuce Ali, and Elijah Muhammad.
Islam.
I want to give honors to the first Supreme Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother Emily Ill.
Islam.
I want to give honors to all temples in the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to give special interest to what we call Grand Major Temple up in Mecca. Definite honors, which is my brother, Daweed Ali Ill. Indeed. I want to give honors to the flagship temple of our body, Temple number 19. The office of the Grand Governor. With the Sheik staff, the vanguards that keep the peace, the admin staff, the Sisters Auxiliary, and X, Y, and Z. Especially want to give honors to the Ills and Bays. Islam?
Islam.
All right. What I tend to do at these meetings is I talk about the quote-unquote hot button issues when it comes to the Moors. Last time we did this, we talked about black according to science being death, and we broke that down. Today, what we're going to talk about is the issue that our people have overall when it comes to the Moorish Science Temple of America and to us as all, which is Islam. Our people have an increasing fear of what this thing called Islam is.
That's right.
And if that's the case, why did the Prophet put us in this position? He could have just gave us a nationalistic movement and kept us on our way, right?
Right.
All right. What we normally do in the Moorish Science Temple of America is read from the words of the Prophet before we get started. However, we're going to do something a little bit different. This first one is Karl Marx, a German. He says, "Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. Religion is the opium of the people. The abolition of religion as the illusionary happiness of the people is the demand for their real happiness. To call on them to give up their illusions about their condition is to call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. The criticisms of religion is therefore an embryo, the criticisms of the veiled tears of which religion is the halo." Friedrich Nietzsche, another German, says, "Whoever has the theological blood in his veins is shifty and dishonorable in all things. The pathetic thing that grows out of this condition is called faith. In other words, closing one's eyes upon oneself once and for all to avoid suffering in the sight of incurable falsehoods. People erect a concept of morality, of virtue, of holiness upon these false views of all things. They ground good conscience upon faulty vision. They argue that no other sort of vision has any value anymore. Once they have made their sacrosanct with their names God, quote unquote, salvation and eternity. I unearthed this theological instinct in all directions. It is the most widespread and most subterranean form of falsehoods to be found on earth. Whatever a theologian regards as true must be false. There you have most criterion of truth. His profound instinct of self-preservation stands against the truth ever coming into honor in any way or even getting stated. Wherever the influence of theologians is felt, there is a transvaluation of values, and the concepts of true and false are forced to change places. Whatever is most damaging to life is there called true, and whatever exalts it, intensifies it, approves it, justifies it, and makes it triumphant is therefore false." Last one, Sigmund Freud, an Austrian Jew. "God is an illusion based on the infantile need for a powerful father figure. Religion necessarily to keep us restrained, to help us restrain violent impulses earlier in the development of civilization. But now that could be set aside in favor of reason and science. Now ask again. Now our people, more and more, are going away from this thing called religion. You know, they bring up other terms like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. You know, some of them are witch doctors, some of them will go to Celtic ideals, and because everybody wants to be a witch or Wiccan and all this other kind of stuff, right? So what, like I asked before, why would the prophets take us down this path? Because he specifically said that we have a religion, right? And what is the importance of that in a movement that has a national identity? Right? Now, why religion? Why Islam? Religion, if people want to know, let us, you know, and as Muslims, or as Muslims, we have to define it by Muslim and Muslim terms, right? The Holy Quran, Surah 30, Ayat 30, says, then set your face upright for religion in the right state, the nature made by Allah in which He has made men. There is no altering of Allah's creation. That is the right religion, but most people do not know. So now we have Allah telling us that the nature made by Him, Allah, in which He has created men, is our religion. It's important. The Moore's Holy Quran, when it talks about Allah, it says, to fear Allah, therefore all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths in which He has opened up before thee. Let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain, let justice guide thy hand, benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. Islam?
Islam.
These shall give thee the happiness in thy present state, and bring to thee the mansions of the eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. And this is the true economy or wealth of human life. Now, so we have our definitions for what we say this thing is that we have. All right? But there's a situation, especially for everybody that's in this room, is that not too long ago, from roughly 1555 to 1865, we went through a specific situation called chattel slavery, right? Where everything was taken away from us, stripped down to basically being an animal. How is it that in 50 years from then, you have a man pop up, and what is the religion that he pops up with? It's Islam, right? It took roughly 100 years for the Umayyad to get, Islam to spread that to the Moors. So in 50 years, this man popped up and gave us Islam. Now, we have detractors, and people have an argument. We'll say, this is what we have, this is Islam, right? They'll say, the first thing they'll say is, oh, that's Islam. Well, I don't want what you have because it doesn't look Arab. Right? They say, your Islam ain't real because it don't look Arab.
Come on, Sheik. Come on with it.
And that's when you present yours. But of course, the second thing they'll say is, well, at the same time, well, you stop giving them the Arab thing, you give them your thing. This is us. They don't want to hear that. And the minute, and the flip side is like, it comes back around. It's full circle. They say it doesn't look Arab, or it looks too Arab. That's the next thing. So you can't use certain words. You use those words, you're an Arab. But then you don't use those words. You give them yours. They say, well, that's not Arab. And Arab is the real Islam. Our Arab detractors will say simply, your Islam can't be real because it don't look like us and it don't follow our words. And you can't be a real Muslim because you're not from our pedigree. Muhammad is ours, that they say. You can be a term that they have called an abbot if you want to, but you can't be a real Muslim. These are problems that we have to face. In one-on-ones, it asks us a specific question. What is your religion?
Islamism.
What is your religion?
Islam.
Is that the new or is that the old time religion?
Old time religion.
For us, Allah is what we call Al-Qadim, the ancient. And in our writings it says, you know, there's but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. If our Allah is the ancient one, and what our religion is the old time religion, we have to ask those same Arabs a simple question. If our thing is the oldest thing, if our Allah is the ancient one, if you said that your Islam started with Muhammad, and ours is obviously older than that, you know, not why don't our Islam look like yours, but why don't yours look like ours? Because here in the West, we have a very specific type of Islam.
That's right.
It don't look like anybody else. And people have a problem with that. However, nobody gets mad at the Chinese when they practice Islam and it looks very Chinese.
That's right.
Nobody gets mad at the Indian. When you go to India and you see their thing, it looks very Indian.
Come on, Sheik. Come on, Sheik.
How was I supposed to look?
That's right. More spirit.
Right? It is important that, you know, we push our ideals and the things that we're given. Now, you may ask, what is the problem? And for us and for our people and for the condition that we've been brought in, it's one simple thing. It's fear. Fear of responsibility.
Right.
Islam is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It is not, you know, you can't just kick through this one. You have responsibilities left and right in everything that we do. And we honor those responsibilities. Right? The Lord's Holy Quran, chapter 46 says, through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. That is exactly the problem. Let me read that again. It says, through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one. We don't believe that all men are one. We believe, honestly, that we're lesser than somebody else.
That's right.
All right? And then it says, and equal to seek our own destiny. We don't believe that we're free to seek our own destiny.
Islam.
Because when we say who we are, we have to qualify by somebody else. That's a problem. You know, and to worship on our own vine and fig tree, and we refuse to worship under our own vine and fig tree. The things that are given to us that are ours, we will give them away. Because other people's stuff is more valuable. What you know about stuff, Sheik? You know, it said, you know, to shun Islam is to accept fear. And if our people are fearful, what stops the fear? Huh? Now we can go back to the opening statements I made. They were very strong against religion.
Right.
And like we say, you know, in those ideals, and in that ideal, it's okay. For us, it's not okay. And for us to follow those ideals, it's not okay. I wrote something from a guy named Freud. That was like the last quote. The one thing about Freud is that he is a part of a group, let me get the name right, a part of a group called the President, Council, and Fellows of the Royal Society of London for the Improvement of Natural Knowledge, aka the British Royal Society. Now, they're an anthropological group that seem that they're big on studying mankind for their own benefit. Another member of this organization was a man called Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. He's German. And he was a professor. His thing was this. He is actually the one who started in 1920 the color code that we use today.
Right.
White, black, red, yellow, XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, if you follow behind that on a nationalistic scale, you're falling up under European.
Islam.
Unfortunately, right? And we have to be careful when it comes to that. When you come to Marx, Nietzsche, and Freud, we have a term for these type of men. It's called European psychology.
Islam.
You know, we all know what a European is, but psychology is mental ploys and tactics. You know, studying someone's behavior, their mind state.
That's right.
You know, and we know that the European does everything in the mind state of war. That whole part that I read from both of those, or all three of those men, they spoke to what could be considered a specific weakness that's in people that would make them have to go to religion, right? Well, I have a question. The story of a man called Tariq ibn Zahad. Where was his weakness when he took 12,000 men into Spain, burnt the boats, and fought against 100,000 Visigoths and Moors? And he was a Muslim, right? 100%. It's to the point now where there's a mountain named after him. We call it Gibraltar, right?
That's right.
Interesting thing is, if you go back in Morocco on the other side of the water, there's another mountain. And it's named, and just like this one is called Jeb el Tariq, this one called Jeb el Musa, which basically means that in order for anyone to go in and out of the Mediterranean, they have to go by the feet of your ancestors. That's the power of the Moors. That's the power of the Muslims.
That's right.
But they're considered weak, right? The Moors ruled 700 years. How long has America been around?
Less than 3.
700 years. I don't care about the ups and downs, all that. The men ruled for 700 years in somebody else's land. Spain, Portugal, and south of France. Right? Is that weakness?
No, sir.
That's Islam. Right? Other side. There's a man called Salahuddin.
Come on, brother.
Right? Salahuddin came up with a plan and executed a plan to take back Jerusalem and the Holy Land and fought off, what do they call them? The Crusaders. We're going to call them crackers, I was going to say that, but the Crusaders. Right? Show me that weakness. That's Islam.
That's right.
All right, but I get it. I get it. You say, that was a long time ago. Right? What about the tales of Moors
Come on.
in the 20s and 30s?
Right.
Even after the prophet built. I ain't gonna go there too tough, but you know what we're doing. Show me the weakness in those brothers. There's a brother named Ira Johnson Bay. Show me the weakness in that brother.
None.
Right?
No.
And I know we have guests in the house. So let's ask the question of, what about the tales of the Nation of Islam?
No.
All right? I'm from Chicago. I'm from the south side of Chicago. A neighborhood called South Shore. Right off of Stony Island. I lived there, grew up there, right? I know the tales of the Nation of Islam. Ain't no weakness there. Right? They got that fish though, you know, right? We know that story. They got that fish. I knew that fish showed up. Right? But there's a problem with everything I said that is backed up by us and is said by us. Because we don't believe us all the time. Let's go to the devil and see what the devil got to say. There's a brother, there's a man, there's a person named Lothrop Stoddard. He wrote a book in the 1920s called The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Supremacy. He was a Klansman, he was a eugenist, all around bad guy, right? Chapter 4, The Black Man's Land. This is what he says. Concerning Islam's steady progress in black Africa, there can be no shadow of a doubt. Every candid European observer tells the same story. Mohammedanism, Islam, can still give the natives a motive for animosity against Europeans and a duty to which they are otherwise incapable. Right? Let's go to another one. T.R. Threlfall. He wrote that Mohammedanism, or Islam, is making marvelous progress in the interior of Africa. It is crushing paganism out. Against the Christian propaganda is a myth. The rapid spread of militant Mohammedanism among the savage tribes of the north of the equator, Moors, is a serious factor in the fight for racial supremacy in Africa. With very few exceptions, the colored races of Africa are preeminently fighters. To them, law of the stronger is supreme. They have been conquered, and in turn they conquer. To them, the fierce, warlike spirit inherited in Mohammedanism, Islam, is infinitely more attractive than is the gentle, peace-loving, high moral standard of Christianity. And in that, I agree 100%. That's what it's supposed to be. All right? In closing, we have a key to ask, what is the covenant of the great God Allah? To honor thy mother, thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God, Allah, have given thee. To disrespect Islam is to disrespect the work of your ancestors. Anybody raise their hand. How long have people been on the planet? Give me a number. Just give me a number. Millions. Huh? That's millions and trillions of years of work is thrown in the garbage. when you throw away the work of your ancestors.
That's right.
And Islam is the work of our ancestors. It is the weapon, if you will, that will help us take care of certain situations. I don't want to get too far into that. All right. Any questions? Vibrations? All right. I'll leave you as I came in peace. Islam, Moors.